Hello again, folks. Me and my brother got our first Pentium computer in summer 1997, around the same time as our cousin got his computer. Our PCs were almost similar, but our cousin got something awesome in his setup that made me bitterly envious. But less than a quarter century later, my patience was rewarded and that awesome something was passed down to me. These particular computer speakers, and these are not just any computer speakers, these are multi-media speakers. It says Symphony on the label, but after I did some detective work, I think these MS420 speaker models were initially manufactured by some Taiwanese company, and then different companies just bought them in bulk and slapped their brand on them. I've seen this same speaker model being branded as Sunnyline and AGG. And as a funny little coincidence, while I was reminiscing by a Pellet magazine from 1996, I saw this wee tidbit of an ad. Juster MS420 speaker set costing 419 Finnish marks, which today, adjusted to inflation, would be around 117 euros. These big and boxy speakers are just delightfully hideous, and they have the perfect aesthetics that I'm looking for my retro setup. Well, almost. First, it's common knowledge that acoustically these 90s speaker boxes are headache-inducing torture chambers and they need a little dampening to mitigate the vibrations. Second, this yellowing just has to go. I don't know why some people feel so sentimental about yellowed plastic, but I don't. I think it's disgusting. Initially I supposed to complete this fun little project in a couple of weeks, but setback after another prolonged it into a over 4-year ordeal. But how about we proceed with this project? Yeah, over 2 decades isn't always kind to low quality plastic, and I managed to rip the label of the passive unit in half. I did think about creating new custom labels, but I ended up filling the mount with plastic putty, turning it into a clean and even surface. After I considered the preparation work satisfactory, I started painting them with bright white. Like already mentioned, old computer speaker boxes tend to be flimsy and lacking any kind of soundproofing. They vibrate like crazy, even in low volumes, and lower frequencies sounds hollow and inaccurate. Generally just awful. I used 1.8mm thick STP silver-lined damping mat to add some extra weight to the surfaces, and on top of that I added 8mm STP Splen 08 for noise absorption. The passive speaker unit came together quite well, but the other one with the amplifier gave me really hard time. The decades-old plastic label ripped on this one too, and as if that wasn't enough, at some point the amplifier board and its ribbon cable got also damaged. I didn't film it because, quite frankly, at that point I was way too agitated to worry about some video footage for YouTube. I was going to fix the damages, but it just started to feel like a lot of work with a very little payoff. So, after I sat myself down and relaxed with a nice glass of single malt, I realized I have a good opportunity here to do something really creative and satisfying with these boxes, even if it multiplies the original €30 budget. So my original plan was just to soundproof and improve the aesthetics of these boxes and keep the original tweeters and woofers intact. Instead, I decided to turn them into passive speakers, ditching the original amplifier and replacing the drivers completely. I wanted to use the original mounts, which meant that I didn't have a very wide selection of different options. But eventually I found these Visaton tweeters and these, whatever these woofers are. I think they are spare parts for some JBL speakers or something. These two-way crossovers are just some no-brand models that I found from a local electronics boutique. So I filled the label mount on the other speaker too, and since the front panels also got some scratches, I gave them both a fresh coat of paint yet again. But of course there had to be another setback. The woofer wasn't a good fit, as you can see here. So, what next? Well, I framed the drivers with this rubber trim to fill the gaps, even though the end result was pretty ugly. Luckily, the tweeters fit perfectly. Then I finally got to assemble them. However, since I'm the kind of guy who apparently can't catch a break, the speakers, well, they didn't sound good at all. Of course, you can't hear the sound quality over a video, but it was imbalanced, hollow, peaked, and no matter how I adjusted the amplifier, I just couldn't get it to settle. I don't know if the components didn't play well together, or if the enclosures didn't agree with them, or both, but this absolutely wasn't the satisfying, fulfilling end result I was looking for. What a disappointment, after all that work. After finally getting over yet another disappointment, I once again sat myself down and enjoyed a nice glass of single malt. I pondered, should I start looking for another set of drivers that would fit with these original mounts and perhaps chance it being another disappointing shot in the dark? Or should I go for another option that would require again more money and more work, but would more likely be a successful one? I went with the latter option. which was to modify the boxes for 4-inch full-range drivers, enabling me to ditch the tweeters and crossovers completely. Based on reviews and strong recommendations, and also the fact that the requirements for vented enclosures matched almost perfectly with these boxes, I ended up with Dayton Audio RS100-4 full-range drivers. I also added sturdier speaker terminals. I cut the mount for the new drivers from 16mm MDF, which I attached with glue and screws. I also used the same MDF to strengthen the boxes. I hit the screw heads with plastic putty, which I also used to shape and finalize the driver mount. After all the filling and grinding, the boxes were ready to be painted once again. Though this time I didn't use bright white but off-white, so that is more on par with 90s aesthetics. I added a little more dampening material on the walls of the boxes, and then all I had to do was to assemble them. So after all the setbacks and headaches and hangover related headaches, was it worth it? Absolutely.
lost the lead. You are tied for the lead. You have lost the lead. You are tied for the lead. You have taken the lead. You are tied for the lead.
Again, it's impossible to demonstrate sound quality through a video, but these speakers sound just lovely. Of course, the amplifier plays a huge role on sound quality, but at least with my SMSL Q5 Pro, this setup play very well together. They sound clear, warm, and the high and low ends are very well balanced. Also, I was very surprised how much bass these drivers can kick. I don't feel any need for subwoofer with this system. And I just love how they look. They may not be as exciting and authentic as, say, Roland speakers coupled with a sound canvas on something. But then again, I wasn't trying to compete with anything like that. I just wanted to do something by myself. Besides, a project like this is all the more satisfying when you have to put yourself through challenges in order to achieve something. Well, that was quite a cumbersome project. Even so, I truly enjoyed the results, and I hope you enjoyed this video because there will be at least a couple of audio projects coming up in the future. However, it's time for me to enjoy a nice glass of single malt and some 90s PC game goodness with these beasts. So, see you guys in the next adventure.